Welcome to Season 5 of the Mental Path Podcast. I'm Dr. Gretchen. I'm a psychiatrist, which means I'm a medical doctor specializing in mental health. And I love taking everything I know about medicine, psychology, and the things that I like about personal growth tools and turning them into strategies that I actually use in my own life as a working mom, a wife, and a busy human, just like many of you. Self care is really the foundation to everything, and my goal is to help you feel like you can handle your life with more calm and confidence. This season, we're talking about holiday stress, family, and how to stay true to yourself instead of just getting through it, especially as we're wrapping the year. So today's episode is all about what we do when those family time, the gatherings, reopens old wounds. So I'm going to walk through this in a Q&A style. I'm going to pull out some questions that you guys have asked me online or in messages. And yeah, let's just go through it. I have about 8 questions to answer here. Question 1. Why do I feel like a teenager again when I go home for the holidays? Oh gosh, I get this question all the time. And it just comes up in conversation, even when I'm talking to my friends or with my patients. So think about it this way. You might have done the work like therapy, practicing boundaries, and all that personal growth stuff. You're probably doing your own stuff now, right? And maybe you even live in a place that actually feels like yours with your own routines, your own rules, and you feel pretty good about who you are these days. But then the holidays roll around and you head back home. And the second you walk through the door, it's like nothing changed. The place or the house smells exactly the same. The furniture is in the same spot. And the voices of the people around you, yeah, they're same as always. Sometimes it just takes one little comment or maybe even a certain facial expression or look on other people's faces. And suddenly, without even thinking, you slip right back into that kid mode. You feel like you're 12 again. So you might catch yourself reacting or feeling like you used to, even if you haven't been that person for years. So your brain remembers at that time that in the past, maybe you found yourself being the peacemaker in the family, or in conversations or interactions, you kind of fade into the background usually. Or maybe certain people made you feel like you have the urge to prove yourself all over again. Sometimes you feel like the problem child, which is really exhausting. You know, okay, if this sounds familiar, it doesn't mean you've screwed up or lost all the progress that you've made up until this point or in the present moment. Your nervous system is just running an old program that it learned way back, like back when you really needed it, back when you were a child. And most of those patterns formed around your family or people you grew up with. So even if you've changed a lot right now, they have a way of sticking and coming back when you just have enough of the signals in the present for your super smart brain to dig those memories back up and bring up all the feelings and thoughts that helped you back then. So basically, you're bumping into emotional memories and your body just remembers, that's all. And so this brings us to question 2, actually, which is what's actually happening in my brain and body when this happens? So at the end of the day, this all really comes down to how your bodies and brain work and how they communicate with each other. And honestly, once you get a handle on what's happening, it can help you feel a lot more in control and not hard on yourself, okay? Think of your brain having a built-in alarm system, and specifically the part of your brain called the amygdala. This part is always scanning for anything that might mean safety or danger. It's scanning for threats, even if it's just like signals that used to made you feel like you're in danger before when you were younger. And a lot of times it's not just the obvious stuff. It's like someone shouting or the room smelling the same, or again, furniture is looking like they're in the same spot. Like it's kind of like you go into your childhood room and you all of a sudden you remember lots of the painful memories, but also the exciting memories that you've had in that room growing up. Little things can flip that switch, like a certain tone of voice, a look on someone's face, the way the room feels, or even a particular smell, like we said earlier. When something now kind of echoes tough or stressful moments from your past, especially when you were a kid, the brain doesn't always know the difference between what's happening now and what's happened back then. In fact, you're in the present moment, your brain will have to exert a lot of effort and energy to remind yourself that you're in the present moment, not back in the days. That's because those big emotional moments in childhood actually get wired into your brain and body in a very specific way, thanks to neuroplasticity. Back then, your nervous system picked up on patterns that would keep you safe in your particular family or home. And those patterns don't just drop off as you get older. Sometimes they get triggered all over again the minute something feels familiar. Here's where the brain parts like the amygdala or prefrontal cortex come into play. If something sets you off, this parts of the brain jump straight into stress mode. That's the amygdala. And the front part of your brain, that's the prefrontal cortex, that part that helps you think things through and handle your feelings, sort of takes a back seat for a while. That's why, even when you know in your head you shouldn't react, the emotions can still hit you hard, and it's really hard in the moment. It's not like your tools right now is out the door, or there's something wrong with you, or you're failing at something. It's not that. Your brain in the present moment is just doing the thing that it was designed to do, which is to react fast to anything that seems threatening, especially if it learned those patterns early on. So let's answer question number 3 because it tells us what we can do, right? Question number 3. Why does this happen even though I've worked on myself? Okay, one thing that's easy to forget is that all the work you've done on yourself lately, it really does matter. It really does. Still, being around your family, especially when you're back in the old house you grew up in, can bring out a side of you that you might not see anywhere else. It's kind of like when you see your mom or your grandma, for a quick minute, you feel like you're 7 years old or 10 years old. It's because your brain has done a very good job associating certain people or experiences or places with past memories, past experiences. It turns out there's lots of research around this actually showing that those old family patterns get wired into your brain's stress responses pretty deeply. So when you go home, it's not just about whoever you're talking to at the moment. Some of that old stuff kind of bubbles up too. There's this thing called memory reconsolidation that happens. Basically, what that means is those emotional memories from years back can come right back, sometimes taking over, even if you've worked so hard to build new habits. And this is super normal. It's not a sign that you're backsliding, or again, it's not a sign that you're failing. Think of it like this. It's like you've put in a lot of effort to change the way you think and react now, but those old patterns didn't just vanish overnight. So going home can feel like slipping into an old pair of shoes. They might not be fitting you quite right anymore, but your brain knows them so well. They are so familiar, and it just falls into those rhythms without much effort. So every time you choose to do even one thing differently, that's a chance to make new habits and new patterns, new associations a little stronger. At the same time, you're kind of chipping away the old ones. It's kind of like it's time to update those memories. You have old books, and now that we're like on 10th edition, you got to throw out those old ones. You have to get revised updates on those books and magazines. That's actually how change sticks, right down to what's happening in your brain. There are true physiological things that are happening here. It's not just something that we're making up. All right, question number 4. This is where it gets really practical, which is probably the most important part of this talk. Question number 4. Is there a way to prepare myself before I go? Absolutely. You can actually set yourself up for a smoother experience just by getting ready ahead of time. This is why I'm creating this episode, because I know that these Christmas parties have probably already happened and there's more celebrations to attend. So I'm glad that you're here listening. So how do we prepare? You can start by getting real with yourself about what you're walking into. And it's not about bracing for disaster all the time, and definitely not about sugarcoating things. If you know certain people or topics are likely to push your buttons, really try to imagine those moments and think through how you might want to respond before you're in the middle of it. You can tune in to the signs of your body, whatever your body gives you when stress starts to sneak up. Sometimes it's your tummy feeling funny. You're feeling like throwing up. Sometimes it's a headache or tension in your body. Even when you notice like you're holding your breath, that's the one thing for me that I notice first when I'm starting to feel stressed. Catching those early makes it a lot easier to hit pause and do something to help yourself. It's really good to have a few ways to ground yourself too, like have them written down on your phone, like on your notes app on your phone, or have them memorized so that when you're right in the middle of these stressful situations or right before it, you can just refer to those notes and there's not much thinking that you have to do. You just follow them. Here are some things that can really help. You can sneak outside or into another room for a quick breather. You can text a friend who really gets it so that you've got some backup. Or if you really need to, if you absolutely need to vent something out in the moment, you can do so. You can try your deep breaths or whatever stress relieving activities or stress relaxation techniques that you have that really works for you. You can decide ahead of time how long you want to stay at a party so you don't feel trapped. That's the one thing about the brain. It does not want to feel stuck. It does not want to feel trapped. So even just reminding yourself that there is a way out, like you can leave in 30 minutes or you can go to a different room, you can walk outside, that reassurance can already tone the anxiety down. So go easy on yourself from the very beginning. Everybody slips into old patterns now and then, and it doesn't mean that you've really lost your footing. And honestly, these situations can be very tough, and it's important to remind yourself that it's okay. You have skills, you have tools, and give yourself some credit for even showing up to those tough situations in the first place. That's a lot of courage. It's a really brave thing to do. So it's important to remind yourself that you have strength. You're strong enough to show up. You are going to be strong enough to handle the stress when it comes up. Okay, let's keep going. Question number 5. What can I do in the moment when I feel triggered? Very important question because now it's all about how do you manage in the moment. Sometimes when you start to feel yourself getting triggered or overwhelmed, the main thing is just trying to get your thinking brain back in the driver's seat, back in control. That way, you're more likely to respond intentionally instead of just reacting in the moment. And here are some practical things that you can try. And yes, these are evidence-based. I'm not making these up. There's a physiological reason why these things work. So first, you can start with your body. Slow your breathing down. Let's engage that parasympathetic or calming nervous system. This is honestly one of the fastest ways to settle your brain, your nervous system. You can try this. You can breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for a few seconds, and then breathe out slowly for 6 seconds. The key here is having a longer exhale. And don't get caught up in how many seconds and don't get stressed out about that. Just breathe as gently and as comfortably as you can. The one thing to remember again is just breathing out just a little bit longer than usual. Really bring your attention back to your body. Notice your feet on the floor, look around and pick up 5 things you can see so you can engage your senses and taking that attention away from the stress or negative thoughts and into your surroundings and into other parts of your brain. Touch something nearby, like a pet or the couch or even your coat or your clothes, just so you can again move your attention to something else other than the thought. Just pay attention to whether it feels rough or soft so that again you can engage that part of your brain. Move around if you feel like it. There's nothing wrong with taking a short walk. Even just stepping outside for a bit or heading out to the bathroom can hit a reset. One thing I like to do is I say, oh, let me get a drink or let me just, I'll be back. Let me just get some air or something like that. Once you feel a little bit more grounded, you can start engaging your mind. Name what's happening to you. You could say to yourself, whoa, I'm feeling pretty activated or stressed out right now. Or even notice, hey, this is my old pattern showing up. Check in and get grounded with really what's going on. Remind yourself, I'm an adult, I'm safe, I can leave if I need to. Even just the way you talk to yourself, even if you're just telling yourself these ideas and thoughts in your head, that is already super important. That's much better than having old thoughts, default thoughts take over. You can also try shifting things just by a little bit. You don't have to totally change how you react, but you can just pick one thing you can do a bit differently at this time, even if it's barely noticeable. Maybe like if you're talking to someone, rather than full on eye contact right away or the whole time, you can look to the side a bit. You can play with the cats or the dogs as you're talking to someone. Look, the point here is not to stop yourself from ever getting triggered. That's impossible. Your brain has to react to your environment. That's honestly not realistic to just not respond at all. The goal is to just notice when it's happening, like the thoughts and feelings bubbling up, and know that you've got a few tricks up your sleeve for those moments, that you have tools that you can use in the moment. All right, question number 6. How do I set boundaries without causing a huge conflict? Setting boundaries doesn't have to be this huge dramatic thing. In fact, the simpler you keep it, the better it usually goes. You can start by figuring out your own limits. Like, what can you handle mentally and emotionally, and what just drains you? You have to know those things about yourself. You can't really control how other people act or what they say, but you can choose how much you let it get to you. When you're setting boundaries with someone else, it helps to be clear, but really keep it simple. Have some default responses like, I'm not comfortable talking about that, or I need to step out for a bit, or I'll be back soon. You can even say if someone's kind of taking over or telling you to do things or teaching you how to do things when you really don't need their help. You can say, thanks for caring, but I've got this. And you really don't have to explain yourself. Really, the more you justify your boundary, the more likely you'll end up in a back and forth debate with other people. And that's so draining, that's exhausting. It's going to make you not enjoy the moment. Most of the time, just a very direct response, a short one, works the best. People might push back a little, and that's totally normal. Don't take it personal. See, anytime you change things up, especially in families or close groups, it can make people feel uncomfortable, even if you know it's for the best. Because remember, especially if you haven't seen certain family members for a long time, the last memory they have about you was from back in the days. And so again, we're back to this idea of updating experiences with new information and new vibe, and new personalities or new just behavior patterns. And these differences is not really about being wrong or unreasonable. It's just how people are when routines are changing. Honestly, some of the hardest boundaries are the ones you put in place for yourself, like letting yourself leave early or skip something you don't want to do or stay in a hotel instead of someone else's house. Sometimes that's even tougher than dealing with other people. Remember to put yourself first. It's not being selfish. It's just taking care of yourself. And that matters so much. It makes you better for other people. Okay, we have 2 more questions. Let's go to question number 7. What should I do after it's over so I just don't feel drained or I'm just not shoving it down? Okay, that time after a get together, it's really just as important as all the prep you did before you even showed up to the gathering or before everyone else showed up. Seriously, your body's probably been in overdrive the whole time. So you need to give yourself a real break, not just hope you'll recover by accident. You got to plan for these things. First things first, actually give yourself a chance to unwind. It's not just some extra treat you have to earn or something you can just skip. It's honestly just how you're wired. After all of that stress, remember everything in the body that goes up has to come down. So after this rise in stress, your body needs time for that stress to go back down to baseline, like recalibrate. Your stress system needs you to help it slow down. And yes, this is again just about physiology, how our bodies work. If you can look back on what happened almost like you're watching it play out for someone else, not reliving every awkward moment in your mind, but just reflecting, it's way easier to process things. By picturing yourself from the outside, your brain doesn't have to get yanked back into all the emotions all over again. So what does decompressing look like in real life? Here are a few ways that you can do it. First, again, as always, we're starting with the body. Get moving, even if it's just a walk around the block, a quick stretch, or literally any exercise you enjoy. Shaking off that leftover energy helps your body flush out stress. For me, after a stressful event, if I have enough energy, going out for a run really helps me shake that off. Also, try to get some real sleep. Your brain does so much sorting out while you're in deep sleep, especially with emotions. You can get back to your usual routines. Sometimes it's harder than it sounds, but it can really make a difference once your body and your brain feels like it's back in your usual groove. Once you've taken care of your body, you can ask yourself a few things, but try to do it like you're just observing, okay? Almost as if you were watching someone else go through the day. You can reflect on questions like, did anything stand out as a pattern? Were there moments where you handled things differently than you might have in the past? What set you off or just felt especially tough during the gathering? What does that tell you about stuff you might want to keep working on? Which boundaries held up? And are there any boundaries that you want to tweak for next time? Sometimes talking it out or writing it down can really do a lot for you. Getting your thoughts and feelings out, whether it's scribbling on your notebook or journal or chatting it up with a friend, can really make a big difference than just letting it spin in your head. The point isn't to rehash everything over and over. It's more about making sense of it and letting yourself move on. Just do it for a brief moment so that you can reflect and learn from it and then move on to the next thing. And remember to give yourself credit for what went well. Our brains have this habit of zoning in on what felt off or what we'd like to change, all the negative things. So it definitely helps to point out, even if it's just quietly to yourself, something you manage a little better this time. It might seem small, but that's how you start changing the whole all or nothing way of thinking. All right, last question. What if I feel like I completely regressed and blew it? All right, let's clear something up. Just because you feel like you slipped backwards doesn't mean you actually did. When you're hard on yourself, that voice in your head usually pops up to shield you, protect you from whatever's really underneath. Stuff like feeling let down, ashamed, or worried you'll never actually change. That harsh inner critic, it doesn't just show up for nothing. It's actually a sign, just signals from your body that something meaningful happened. And believe it or not, it basically means you care. Being gentle with yourself when you're struggling is not a weakness. It's one of the bravest things that you can do for yourself. It's really tied to better mental health. It gives you more motivation and it builds your resilience, your ability to bounce back when hard things are happening. This is self-compassion, and it doesn't mean you're brushing off mistakes. It's more about treating yourself the way you treat a close friend or who's having a hard time. For me, when I'm in that spot, I imagine talking to my husband, my kids, my mom, my sister, or my best friend, and think about, okay, if they're telling themselves these harsh, critical thoughts, what would I tell them? So next time you catch yourself thinking, I totally screwed up, try shifting the questions a bit. What was I trying to protect or care for in that moment? Or what would I say if a friend were in the same exact situation? Is there anything I handled differently this time, even just a little? Really try to spot the small wins, like the things that went well. Like maybe you noticed when something was starting to push your buttons. That's awareness. What about when you pause before reacting? That's managing your emotions. Not everyone can regulate their feelings, but you did. What about when you didn't snap back at something provoking? That's holding your ground. That's self-control. What about when you left earlier than you usually would? That's awareness and taking care of yourself. And what about those times when you said sorry for something you'd said? That's accountability. And you had just showed that to other people. All of that's growth. And even if the whole thing still felt pretty rough, something that we have to always remember is that making progress in our relationships and our interactions is not a perfect straight line. You're not going to nail it every single time. No one does. I can't do that. Honestly, that's not even the goal. The goal is to keep learning little by little, keep making those tiny shifts or changes, and just do your best to be kind to yourself along the way. If you did something you regret, you can handle that too. Admit what happened, figure out what you can take from it, and make things right if you need to. Honestly, owning up and making things better usually helps you grow way more than just never messing up at all. Okay, let's just take a second to pause and look at what's going on here. If you find family get-togethers bringing up old emotions, this is so common. You're not the only one who experiences that. Seriously, everyone feels it. I do too. Your brain and body are just responding in a way they probably learned years ago. That doesn't mean you've messed up or haven't made any progress. It's just part of being human. The good news is you're not stuck with these old patterns forever. You're not. Whenever you try something a little different, getting ready, a new way, reacting with a new mindset, or even just reflecting afterward, you're helping your brain start to wire itself in new ways. This is neuroplasticity. Okay, just to review, try to think ahead, be honest with yourself about what to expect, and maybe make a simple plan for how you'll handle sticky moments. Lean on little tools in the moment. Maybe that's taking a breath, doing some grounding, or just stepping back in your head if you need to. It all keeps you a little steadier. Don't forget boundaries. Protecting your own peace is totally okay. It's necessary. You deserve that. Even if it feels weird or people around you don't love it, that's their stuff to deal with. You gotta take care of yourself. Give yourself a chance to recover after. Sometimes you just need to unwind and look back on how things went. No pressure. You're just reflecting. Finally, cut yourself some slack. Things don't have to go perfectly. Really, no one's experience ever does. Go easy on yourself because that's what sticks with you longer than perfection ever could. It's not about nailing every single thing perfectly, okay? It's just about showing up for yourself over and over and over. I get it. Holidays can be really tough. Just making it through the family stuff doesn't mean you're suddenly pressure free. I know that this time of the year, a lot of us start looking back thinking, should I have done more? Do I need to cram in everything before January? Like make this rest of December a sprint? And hey, next episode, we're actually going to dig into that. Why the end of the year pressure ramps up, what's behind it, and some things that you can actually try so that you're not burning out. Let's have this end of the year be celebratory, if that's your thing, but also more of a cool down so that we're going into next year feeling re-energized, feeling calm and feeling ready. But for now, take a breather. You're probably doing better than you think. Okay, I'm Dr. Gretchen Guevara, and thanks again for joining me today on the Mental Path Podcast. See you next time.